are all of the strange articles that you might have missed in the news. We'll be covering Japan's research on UFOs, a new UFO sighting that took place in New York City, robots, and more. I'm going to share my screen here and we're going to get straight into it. First, talking about Japan, because Japanese lawmakers on Tuesday, they want to establish a non bipartisan group that will urge the government to create an organized, dedicated group to investigate UFOs. And the lawmaker group will be led by Yasukazu Hamada, a affairs leader of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, with former environmental minister Shinjiro Kizumi, also from the LDP, which is the Liberal Democratic Party, serving as the Secretary General. And that's going to happen this upcoming Tuesday. I know I said it happened on Tuesday, but this upcoming Tuesday. And the group plans to hold its founding general meeting on June 6th, following Tuesday preparatory meeting held in Parliament. Why is this relevant? Well, obviously, we're hearing more countries talk about wanting to have a serious look, a serious group when it comes to researching UFOs. But Japan's been doing this, has been talking about this since 2020. And this is why it's very interesting to kind of hear them do this loop again, attempting to create a nonpartisan group, not non-bipartisan, nonpartisan group here, because actually Japan's defense ministry back in September of 2020, they issued orders for the self-defense forces personnel to record and analyze information pertaining to any UFO sightings. However, we haven't really received any of that. Actually, just a few weeks ago, when we did episode 100 for Strangest News of the Week, we covered something very similar to this, where Japan's defense minister said, nope, nothing to see here. All the things that we've captured or have looked into referring to UFOs, we know what they are. Well, we know that it's not extraterrestrial, and usually we have simple explanation for these things. It's not aliens, guys, go back home. And so I find it rather interesting for this timing that Japanese lawmakers want to create a nonpartisan group to do even further research on this, so that demonstrates to the world that they weren't satisfied with that answer. And in that episode 100, when covering Japan's response to UFOs, we actually saw that coming when we received the latest Arrow report that said other foreign countries that have their own UFO offices agree with the United States that there's nothing to see here. UFOs, they have an explanation to them. They're not extraterrestrial. We saw that with Australia. We saw that with Japan. I can expect it for the Canada Sky Project when they released their UFO report in the fall of this year. And even with that Arrow report that we got not too long ago, Japan is giving us this double coin here of nothing to see here, and hey, we need to do more research into this. And you know what? I'm liking that push. I look forward to see if they're going to be able to have any breakthroughs on if it will be passed into a more maybe structured law, because they did this back in 2020 and we haven't really gotten any information on it. So maybe this time around, 4 years later, we might get a better answer. And I want to say hello to everyone catching this live. Marty saying, yay, I made another live show. You are so awesome. I'm so glad that you did. And also, I found another one with Joe. Thank you for that. And Chris, you are too kind. To be fair with you, I did practice the pronunciation of these Japanese names before even going live. I gotta admit it, I have no shame in saying that. I really do try to get pronunciation right, but it usually ends in a big fat fail. And someone always points it out, and you know what? It's totally okay. So I want to get into our next one here, talking about New York City, because love it or hate it, doesn't matter. They've had their fair share of UFO sightings, and one just took place for the Memorial Day weekend, during an air show, very specifically the Beth Page air show at Jones Beach. And this might look a little bit familiar. Maybe this topic is going to be a bit familiar because, in all reality, you know what? Actually, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save that tidbit just for a little bit later. Let's get into this sighting because during this air show celebrated by the Blue Angels, there was this small, swift moving object that made a rather unscripted appearance during this air show, leaving everyone that saw it pretty baffled. However, it was moving at such a high speed that not a lot of people caught it, but someone was able to catch it on video, and it was released by TMZ. And this was later the report was given to the National UFO Reporting Center, aka NUFORC, which detailed a sighting that was that closely matched the object in the video. Here we're seeing a still from that video, which described an object traveling at an extraordinary speed at altitudes typically reserved for commercial airliners, and making an abrupt 90-degree turn followed by a rather rapid descent, all within the span of a few seconds. And so you might think maybe it's our military, it might be a black project. It's a possibility. However, it is very dangerous to have a test run during an air show in New York City, one of the most populated cities in the United States, and say, hey, we're just going to show the world this super cool new piece of tech that we made. I don't know. It's kind of a toughie. Now, the reason to why this is significant is because we've actually seen this before in England. We saw it back in May of 2023 during the coronation, during the air show, and we also saw it during another air show during the Platinum Jubilee in England back in 2022. So we're seeing 2022, 2023, 2024. People are seeing UFOs during an air show. Now, during the 2023 coronation, people think it might have been a HAARP balloon, but you're dealing at a very high altitude here. It's take it or leave it, believe it or not, doesn't matter. But it does matter. But it's odd to see this pattern of a UFO seen consistently during air shows. Now, why might that be? Do they just enjoy air shows the way that people do? Do they want to be seen in a moment where everyone's looking up in the sky? Is it always just a balloon moving at incredibly rapid speeds at a very high altitude? Take your pick. It's you can make up your own mind on what you think or don't think. But here I'm pointing this out because we've seen it consistently every single year. It stands out. It really does, at least to me. Sar says, UFOs like air shows. What can I say? Who doesn't like air shows? They're actually really cool. I like them. I think most people do. Yeah, Robert, maybe they like air shows too. Yes. Rome says air shows and 4th of July. You know what? That'd be really interesting to see if a UFO is seen during when fireworks are being shot up for the 4th of July in the United States. I think it'd be pretty cool. Now, moving on to talk about robots and children specifically. This research paper, this study definitely caught my interest, and I think it's going to catch yours as well, because there was an international research team that has discovered that the preference for children to trust and befriend robots are often depicted in popular media such as Big Hero 6 or The Iron Giant. But the thing is that while we might consider that just to be in movies where kids want to be besties with robots, there was a study that involved 111 children aged from 3 and 6 years old, and these children demonstrated a tendency to believe robots more and be more accepting with robots when they made mistakes compared to humans, compared to specifically adults here. And the research aimed to investigate how children process information from different sources, particularly when faced with conflicting testimonies. We're going to go into more detail on this, but right off the bat, this is incredibly intriguing. It's thought provoking, especially in this day and age when we are surrounded by AI. There was another study done not too long ago where children at the same age range, between 3 and 6, believe Alexa to be an actual person, to be a sentient being that answers its questions. Now, you and I, we are aware exactly what it is. It's a program. But for these children that have grown up in this truly new era with technology, they're unable to decipher the difference between the two. Now, the study involved showing the children videos of robots and humans labeling objects, some familiar objects and some new objects. For example, the robot might say, "And this is a red ball." And then they might say, "And then this is," what's an unknown object to 3 to 6 year olds? Take your pick. A spatula, right? I don't know. Just think of something. And what's interesting is that even when the robot made a mistake, instead of saying "it's a red ball," "this is a blue fish," the children accepted their mistakes. They're like, "It's okay," or "No, I believe you." And the researchers aim to investigate how children process information from these two possibilities, robots and humans. Even when these children knew the right answer, how would they react to robots and children? So for any of you that have kids or that have nieces and nephews, right? When you get something wrong, they are so quick to tell you, "Hey, Aunt Liz, hey, Uncle Joe, that is not a blue fish. Sir, you are wrong. That's actually blah, 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 blah." They are the first to correct you. But when they're dealing with robots, they did it in a much nicer manner than with human adults, which I think is just really odd. And there's more to this because the children also favored robots when asked about sharing secrets, forming friendships, and having them as teachers. This this is in this I don't have a lot of words for this one because number one, children love secrets. They love sharing secrets, but only with those who they perceive that they trust. And forming friendships, you either got the shy ones, you got the extroverts, right? But also choosing for robots to be teachers more so than a human. That really caught my attention there. And there are some ideas that I have for that on why that might possibly be an option or an idea or a cause to why that might be. But I want to say that just for a moment because I do want to hear your thoughts on this just from the information that I've provided to you so far. Do you think it's plausible for these 111 children to be more trusting with robots than humans, than human adults? I want to hear what you have to say. Marnie's bringing in some interesting information saying they don't see robots as judgmental. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because it's actually going to build on a thought that I had is that adults always tell kids, "Don't do this, don't do that, drop that, don't put dirt in your mouth," right? It's always these don'ts. It's always these negatives. And that can affect the child's mind to trust other children that kind of have the same mentality compared to adults, and they're not seeing robots as that same parental or kind of guardian figure of "Don't do this, don't do that. Hey, instead, let's have fun. Let's go play in the park. I'll throw the ball and you catch it," whatever the possibility might be. And maybe that could be a possibility onto why these children from the ages of 3 and 6 are have this more trusting relationship with robots than with adults. Also, during this age frame between 3 and 6, they begin to attempt to get away with things. They attempt to lie a little bit more. They're learning how to lie. Well, they might be able to get away with it much better with a robot than with a human adult, where there will be more significant consequences, right? Ooh, that could also be a possibility. Children want to see who can they get away with more, a robot or a person, their mom or their crazy aunt. They're going to pick the crazy aunt. They're going to pick the robot more so than their mother. And researchers suggest that these findings could have implications for education in a world where children are increasingly surrounded by technology. But as they had mentioned, further research involving live interaction is needed to confirm the results and explore the reasons behind children's preferences for robots. Well, we can kind of decipher that. We've already been talking about it for a few moments here on why those possibilities might be. And in this case, if you had a child, or if you already have one, or if you will have one, would you like to have maybe a robot nanny, or for them to engage with robots? I mean, back in the early 2000s, maybe the super late 90s, we had Furbies. Those were the kinds of like first creepy robots that could sometimes take your commands, or those robot dogs that would dance to the music when you used to plug in your iPod, right? Myself and maybe a few others grew up with that kind of technology. Now children today grow up with Alexa, grow up with Siri. Now they have Chat GPT that you're able to download and ask it any question you want. We might be able to have the next big Hero 6, that cute plushy robot that is also a kind of doctor that will take care of your medical needs. We're going into that future. And it's something that we're going to have to accept if you haven't already. We're going that way. There's no coming back from that unless we have some kind of mass extinction. But until then, Sophia, okay, one of the most famous robots, intellectual robots of all time, has a citizenship in Saudi Arabia. She goes to conferences. She talks about how much she loves her family. She gives what people say are inspirational speeches. We have Amica. This is another one. And there's a good few others where they are giving full-blown conferences, giving these speeches, and people clap for these robots. They're like, wow, Sophia, that was amazing. That was so well done. I would never thought of that. Isn't that kind of weird? People in these conferences, I don't know. I have very odd feelings about that. It's like, why are you congratulating a robot that you programmed or that you know is programmed? Be like, wow, good job, you did so amazing. They don't need that encouragement. People need that encouragement. Robots, they don't care. They're just doing their job. People, they like those slight compliments. Okay, they need them to thrive in many situations and instances. Robots, they don't need an applause. Okay, people do. I'm off my pedestal now, off of my soapbox for that one. This next one, oh my gosh, you know what? It's cool. It's very, very cool because there's a French distillery by the name of Pegasus, and it just created this new vodka called Shooting Star Vodka. Why am I mentioning this? Why would I ever bring this up? I'm only bringing this up because it is infused with a meteorite. Who would have thought of something like this? Thinking, you know what? You know what? Let's put a rock in this and see how it tastes. Add this nice little grainy feel to it. This is strange. And it's the strangest news of the week. So obviously we have to cover this. And surprisingly, it's not as expensive as I thought it would be. We've covered some pretty crazy stuff here, like pasta scented candles. We've covered really strange, like not cotton candy, candy cane flavors like clam and mac and cheese and pickle. And today we're talking about meteorite infused vodka. Would you go for it? Okay, so Chris is asking the serious questions. How much for a glass? I don't know for a glass, but for an entire bottle. It's about $180 to $200, which I thought was going to be a lot more, to be fair with you. And they're only making a little over 4,000 bottles of this shooting star vodka. And they said, according to the founder and CEO, that the presence of chondrites, which is a mineral found only in meteorites, complements the smooth and refined texture that characterizes their vodka. But aside from that, we're not really given any information on what it tastes like. That's kind of where the mystery is, what's gaining people's interest, and they're already pre-ordering this vodka. But let's say you had that money in your pocket right now. Would you go for it? Would you give it a shot? Get it? Oh, that was good. That was actually unintentional, but that was funny. Would you consider it a rock flavored drink? I would just say just go to the beach. Maybe just drink a whole cup of ocean water, nice and salty and minerally, and it has more minerals than regular water, but you might dehydrate from the inside out. That is a possibility. Here, they say it just complements the smoothness. I have never heard of vodka being smooth, but they say it is. Dawn says no. No, hard pass. Brown says no. Jonathan says, I would still try it. Yes. We got Skies that says yes. We got, let's see. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Yeah, Rick says, lick a rock. Accurate. Lick a rock and just drink a shot, right? That probably tastes like that. Oh, Marty bringing in some cool facts about meteorites. Nice. Yeah, dinner. I'm with you on that one. It ain't for me. Let's see. Garcia says, I'll drink to that. Sage did there. That was a good one. Well, let me ask you this while I have you on this topic. Of all the drinks in the entire world, which drink is your favorite? I want to hear it in the live chat. I want to hear it in the comments as well. If I had to pick, and I don't do this every day, but I do love it, it's a green tea frappuccino with chocolate chips. It's a life changer. It's delicious. Also, mango smoothies. Amazing. They're so good, but it's a little hint of orange juice. Amazing. That and obviously water. Can't go wrong with water. Some will say water tastes like nothing and it's disgusting. I think it is so great. Those are my 3 favorite drinks. I want to hear yours. Marty says coffee. T says milk. Nice. Like regular, like strawberry and chocolate. Chris says Red Bull and vodka. All right. Robert says definitely rum. Rick says Canadian whiskey. How is that different? Does it have like maple syrup in it? Is that why it's Canadian? Like, what makes it special? I want to know. Martin says brandy. YX says rum. Okay, nice. A lot of rum here, actually. Catkin says coffee. All right. Coconut water, says Brown Dwarf. Oh, it's pretty good stuff. I can dig it. Black coffee, no sugar, says Marty. Root beer milkshake, John aside. Okay. You either love it or you hate root beer. I feel like it tastes like medicine, and some people are into that, like John aside. Red Bull, says Brian. Nice coffee. Oh, I said, no, Brian says Red Bull. John aside said coffee. Okay. Rick says Canadian whiskey is just sweet. It's because of the maple syrup. That's probably what it is. Strawberry lemonade, says Brett. I'm loving how all of you are sharing your favorite drinks, some of which I'll need to give a try for sure, and others I might just push across the counter like a cat. But out of all the articles that we covered today, which one was your favorite? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comments as well. All of the links to the articles that we covered will be in the description box below. And before you head out, I want to say thank you to everyone that caught this live, all the YouTube members, Patreon supporters, and of course, all of my amazing moderators. Right here on screen is a QR code that will take you to all of my social media links. including my space ambient music channel called Cosmic Portals, Factsophical, which is a very fun fact channel. And by the way, on my website at strangeparadigms.com, I do write articles for all of the shows that take place right here. So if you're more of a reader than a visual, I got you. You can find it on my website or on Medium at Cristina Gomez, and there is no H in Cristina. That is it for today. I will see you next time. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies. If you enjoy the strange and the mysterious, UFOs, the paranormal, and cryptids, this channel is for you. So make sure to subscribe, as I do 3 videos right here every single week, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss any of the bonus content I post right here.